Bienvenidos, señores y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. Estamos en vivo. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting. And your favorite casino and card games are available to play right from your phone. So head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, BELEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Bienvenidos, señoras y señores. It has been a long time since we've done a Bleed Lows podcast in vivo, and that's because the Dodgers have had like Monday off for the whole month, and on Thursdays, unfortunately, there was games. So, usually we do the en vivo when there's a Dodgers off day. So we're so glad. Hopefully, you guys can join us. I can't wait to say hi to everybody. I know that Simeon and even Michael Carrillo. I missed you, Michael. Thanks for joining us. Been a while since the last live. You're absolutely right, Michael. Can't wait to hear your hot takes. Joining us on the Vivo, and we want to thank her because she's great. Everybody loves her. We've gotten so much positive, response. Amy's been filling in. I want to get this out of the way real quick. I don't know if anybody saw this online. We haven't really addressed this on the show, but Alonzo is still a part of this show. Alonzo is still one of the hosts on this show. If anybody did see the post that we put up there, I know we did it through the Bleed Lows podcast, Twitter. I also shared a personal post, but Alonzo's son has cancer and has been in the hospital. And so Alonzo has been dealing with that. Family is first, always on this show. So we will support Alonzo with whatever he needs to help him and his family. That being said, there is a GoFundMe account going around to help with the hospital expenses. His son has been in the hospital for quite some times, and as some of you may know, I mean, those hospital bills are just they're incredibly expensive. So if you guys have the ability or can make whatever contribution you can, please go ahead and do so. It is available on our social medias, and just keep Alonzo and his family in his thoughts, please. I really appreciate it. I know he's chomping at the bit to come back to the show and to get a little bit of normalcy and be able to talk. And as I said, we haven't talked about it on the show because it is a private matter, but Alonzo has given me the go ahead and discuss it on the show. So just to get that out of the way. But Amy has been gracious enough to be providing us coverage on the show and giving us her hot takes. So La Reina de Playa Larga, I want to start with you. We are going to go ahead and talk about that Baltimore Orioles series. I saw this a lot, and I'm curious to see if you guys saw it. Everybody, was saying, oh, the Orioles suck, man. I thought the Orioles were good. I don't think you guys are giving the Dodgers enough credit, man. The Dodgers took 2 out of 3, and I was not expecting that. I thought they were going to struggle in Baltimore. And look, I'm going to say it. They might have struggled because if Chris Taylor doesn't hit that grand slam, they may lose that game, and they lose 2 out of 3 in that series. Reina, what were your thoughts, your takeaways from that series in Baltimore?
It looked like they were actually playing like more of a cohesive unit this time around. So yes, the Grand Slam definitely put us ahead. I had a couple friends who were logging out of the game, initially because we were losing, and it's like, no, it's not over till the last out. And, Chris Taylor comes in clutch like he tends to do, hits that home run, and then we're on a roll. And then we did it the next day, and you saw how many hits we got that second game, and then the third game came around, but we can't win every single one of them. So I think they were finally playing as more of a cohesive unit, and it was really good to see.
Michael Carrillo, I see your comments, and I'm getting there. I just want to go to Babyface. Babyface, what were your takeaways out of that Baltimore series?
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed in the prior show, where you kind of twisted my arm, and I didn't know what to expect from that series. I was expecting the Orioles to be this team like we had faced the Diamondbacks, they'd faced the Diamondbacks early in the season, that young running gun type team. I didn't really see that so far, or like also mentioned, maybe the Dodgers kind of they knew what they were lacking back then, and they kind of have adjusted to that. To because when they played, Pittsburgh took advantage of them as well early in the season, and they were able to get caught up on that. So I don't know if they were able to kind of fix what was the issue, and they came out played really good. They played what, aren't the Orioles in first place right now?
Yeah,
They
they
moved
just
into
beat.
first place in the East, which the East is a very tough division. I mean, every team is over 500. The Yankees are in last place, and they're I think if they'd be in another division, they'd be like right in the thick of things. So it's a very tough division. I mean, for what it is, and they were able to go in there and win 2 or 3. Not going to complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they just beat the Rayos today and are in first place by themselves, the Orioles. So, look, Emmett Sheehan, yeah, he gave up 4 runs, but he kept them in the game. And I can't say enough. I mean, I don't think it's realistic to expect that dude to come out and shut everybody down and pitch shutout innings or even like only give up 1 run. The guy is he made the jump from double A to the major leagues and he's keeping these guys in the game. And I just think, I want to give him credit for that. Yeah, he hasn't looked ultimately sharp. I think the fact that he's been in the league a little bit more, there's more tape on him. These other teams, they scout. They know what to look for now with Emmett Sheehan. But I love that he battles back and he keeps people in the game. For all you Michael Grove haters, hey, how about we come out here and we give Michael Grove some credit because who expected that? I mean, I'm not going to lie, Michael Grove gets announced to pitch in that game against the Orioles, and I was like, ay, Dios mío, what is going to happen here? But that's a really nice start for Michael Grove there. I hope it's something that maybe some consistency that he can build. If Michael Grove can do the same thing that Sheehan does and just keep the Dodgers in the game, I think that's a win for the Dodgers. Is it not, Reina?
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's still a rookie. Both of them are like they're still finding their groove in the game. And if you had more of our starting lineup or our starting pitchers there, you wouldn't notice some of these hiccups. It wouldn't be as prevalent. But I mean, I think they're doing a great job. The bullpen is they've gotten the rest that they needed. So they're also not getting overused the longer that Sheehan and Grove can go in the game.
Yeah. So look, you had solid starting pitching. The bullpen was great for those first 2 games. Now we're going to get to what everybody on the live wants me to get to. The minute we logged in, Michael Carrillo came in. Philip Lopez checking in from Disneyland, Big Thunder Mountain. There you go, buddy. You say Big Thunder right there. You say hi to that goat. Is the goat still on top of the mountain there? Say hi to them there, Philip Lopez. Look, the Julio Urías thing, I know there's a lot of theories. I want to go ahead and address the first of one. Michael Carrillo, come on, with the fat shaming. And I've heard this with Max Muncy, which we're going to get to also as part of the show. You guys on the live, you guys who are watching, I see if you guys have a theory for this. I know I saw a lot online, what's going on with Julio. Julio's not going to get paid now. Look, Julio's been inconsistent. This is the highest ERA he's ever had in the major leagues. But hear me out. If he turns things around, or let's say in the playoffs, he goes nuts, you guys think, babyface, you don't think Julio's still going to get paid? If he has a ridiculous postseason and he leads the Dodgers to the World Series, even though he doesn't have a good regular season, don't you think you don't think the Metropolitans, you don't think the people who lose out on Shohei Ohtani, there we go, Shohei Ohtani reference, the people who lose out on Shohei Ohtani, you don't think they're going to pay Julio? I don't think he's going to lose that much money if he turns things around. What say you, babyface?
I don't think he's going to lose that much money either. I mean, even if he doesn't turn things around, somebody's going to pay for him. I mean, he's having an off season, right? It happens. It happens to pitchers all the time, right? They have a bad season and they bounce back, So, how are the Dodgers going to feel? How are the Dodger fans going to feel? Julio has a bad season, he leaves, he goes somewhere next season, he's lights out again, wins Cy Young, right? I mean, we've seen that happen. Guys leave somewhere and they go somewhere else, and they're playing out of their minds, right? They're going somewhere. We're going to see an old friend, and he's playing out of his mind right now in the next couple of days, right? So I don't think he's really going to lose, that big of a contract, especially with Boris, right? And the other thing that I was thinking about though is, you know what? Yeah, he's struggling, but Julio has been lights out for this team when come playoff time, and I expect him to do that again come playoff time. Even if his regular season is inconsistent and been bad, he's shown that he's a playoff pitcher, and I think once playoffs roll around again, I think he's going to be that same guy.
Look, I hope you're right about the Julio thing. I mean, you guys all know, look, we're rooting for Julio on this show. Reina, I know you're into the stats, and I know you can help me with this one, but I'm sitting here looking at, he's had 4 starts this season where he's given up 5 runs or more. Those 4 starts were all on the road. When he's pitched at Dodger Stadium, he's pitched like a decent pitcher. He's maybe given up 2-3 runs. It's when he's on the road, and I don't know what that's about. Reina, is there a reason why you think Julio is not pitching well on the road this year?
I mean, he even said in his post-game wrap that he just didn't feel right when he pitched that day. But I mean, you also have extenuating circumstances. Rogers brought this up before. In this case, the game started later. For whatever reason, the groundskeeping crew didn't cover the field the night before, and it got rained on. That delayed the game. Does that impact their prep? Does that impact the mindset? Is that going into this particular game versus whatever's happened in some of the other ones? I mean, there are a lot of factors that go into it. I'm kind of hoping that whatever they are on the road, if we're seeing that, hopefully the pitching staff, the pitching coaches are seeing that too, and they can turn that around.
Babyface, I mean, in Baltimore, that's the worst start, I think, of his career. He didn't look good in Kansas City. Now in Kansas City, also a lot of things went the wrong way. What is your explanation for why Julio is not good on the road? I mean, at Dodger Stadium now, if the Dodgers can somehow get a home field advantage, if you get playoffs at Dodger Stadium, I think everyone's going to feel better about Julio pitching on the road. I mean, at home, I'm just scratching my head because I don't think he was this bad on the road last year or in previous years. This seems like it's something new to me. And I know that friend of the show, Rox Arroyo, has felt that maybe there's something going on here where he's not using his fastball as much as he's using before. I know you have a theory. You don't think Julio is healthy. I don't know if that ties into what Michael Carrillo was saying, because I feel like last year was when Julio had like a drastic weight loss, right? Didn't he come into camp looking a lot slimmer and more fit? I think he kind of looks the same this year. Do you guys think that Julio physically looks different? Babyface, tell me, how do you fix Julio?
I mean, you got to trust him, right? I mean, you know what he's done for this team, right? And like I said, I don't know if he went out with that leg issue, right? I don't know if that leg issue is still bothering him, right? I mean, guys are going to want to come back and help the team as soon as they can, especially someone like Julio, right? Who, like you mentioned, his agent is Boris, right? They're looking at that big payday at the end of the season, right? So maybe he wants to be out there. He knows I need a pitch to go out there and showcase what I can do for my next big contract. And maybe his leg isn't right. I mean, it seemed like a weird, hamstring injury, right? Kind of like, so it seemed kind of odd, then he came back, he had a little bit of a setback when he did come back, but then, he went to Rancho and then he came back. So, I mean, I don't know if that's an issue. Like you mentioned, Rox mentioned his fastball usage is down this year. I mean, I don't know if there'd be anything in the shoulder that's bugging him, but if it's just, I'm hoping if it's anything, it's just his leg, right? Just rather than any type of arm ailment. But I mean, they got to, you got to keep trusting him. he's shown that nothing really kind of will rattle him that much. The big moments won't rattle him, like, so he can go out there and perform. So I mean, you just got to ride him, and I trust that he'll figure it out, and he'll be able to help this team down the stretch.
So those of you on the live, do you guys see? I mean, do you guys have any explanation? If you do, make sure you put it in the chat as to why there's such a big difference between Julio pitching at Dodger Stadium and him pitching on the road. Now, I know that Dodger Stadium is a pitcher's ballpark, but I mean, the numbers are drastic. I'm telling you, if you look at his starts, the games that he at Pittsburgh back in April, he gave up 6 runs. At St. Louis in May, he gave up 6 runs. At Kansas City, he gave up 5 runs. At Baltimore, he gave up 8 runs. Those are his worst starts of the season. If you take that away from him, if you take those starts away from him, it's probably we're sitting here saying Julio's Julio. It's the consistency. Michael Carrillo, that I do like what you just put in here. And I think that is something that is very noticeable to me for Julio this year. His command does not seem as sharp. And especially in those first innings, he has those first inning problems. So let's give Michael Carrillo a point there, because I think you're absolutely right there. The command. Reina, do you think that is maybe why he's not using his fastball that much? Do you think maybe he doesn't have command of the fastball and that's what's hurting him?
I mean, that's definitely a factor. I think something that we forget when we get so lost in the stats, and I'm guilty of this myself, like I love to dive into the numbers, is these guys are human. Like they're going to have off days, and I can't plan my off day on, oh, well, I'm going to have to pitch today. Can we move that to the next day? They're still going to have to go out there and do their job. And he's still got to show up on the mound, whether he feels good or not. If he is struggling out on the road, like Doc's still going to move him out there. So he's going to do the best he can. And like Roger said, he has the demeanor. He's calm under pressure, but like it can't feel good to give up those runs and know that, you're doing your best out there. So,
well, I'm very curious because he's scheduled to pitch against the Rojos at Dodger Stadium. So if he bounces back and has a great outing against the Rojos, I mean, it's going to be one of those things where maybe this is just it with Julio. It's going to be one of those weird years where he just doesn't pitch well on the road and he pitches at home. He pitches well. I'm going to move on to the other hot topic that's in the chat. I keep seeing this from you guys, and it was something I always wanted to bring up anyways. This hatred towards Austin Barnes. I want to do a little bit of a reality check with everybody here, okay? Because I see this a lot on social media. And Philip Lopez, I'm talking to you. That 0-70 that you threw out there, that is fake news. That is false information. Even Howard Cole, who is the ultimate bitcher on Twitter, who complains about everything, who everybody's the most the most horrible player on there. Even he said that stat is not accurate, and you can't be putting out that kind of misinformation. Look, I'll tell you guys this. You guys don't think that Austin Barnes knows he's having a terrible season? I bring this up because I don't know if you guys saw the video of Reina. Help me out here. How do you pronounce the Seattle Mariners center fielder's last name? Is it Kalenic?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I was trying to figure that out this afternoon.
Okay, so the
Mariners
Mariners center fielder Kalenic struck out, and then he kicked a cooler in the dugout yesterday, and it turns out he fractured his leg. Okay, and so now he's going on the IL, and he went and he had just you guys, for those of you who haven't been, I don't know if you guys know what that means. That means we have a visitor, Babyface. Who's at the door? Can you let them in through the gate? Open the gate.
Someone's here.
Open the gate, please. Oh, look who's here, everybody. Hey, guys, it's La Princesa de Picolandia.
Except I'm not in Picolandia today.
Okay. Alicia Del Valle, everybody. Hey, Princesa, we want to get the whole widescreen on you? Can you hold the phone the other way?
I did that and it just turned it sideways.
Okay, then.
So
Well, it looks like you're holding a bottle of wine. Are you drinking right now?
I plead the fifth. But what I do have is when we have giveaways here on the Bleed Low podcast, when we go live, this will be one of them.
Okay, so we're having a hard time seeing it. So can you describe it?
Maybe I could try to fix the camera. I'm not sure why it's that way.
So
If I turn it this way, you could see that it's
You're freezing, so I think you're just having a bad reception. Let us know, where are you right now?
okay. So I'm in the wonderful valley of Santa Ynez. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. You're just freezing on camera. So you're frozen in a perfect position because we can see your face, but we can hear you clearly. So let us know, what are you doing? Where are you at right now?
Okay. Bear 1 minute. I'm going to try to. What? Hold on.
This is what happens when you do a show in vivo, everybody.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah, we're still freezing,
Now
but
can
we
you hear
can
me?
hear you. We can hear you. Your picture's freezing.
I'm staying still. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Your picture's freezing.
It's still freezing. I don't want to.
This is going beautifully. This is awesome, everybody. And people,
I'm sorry. It's.
so where are you at? You said.
I'm in Santa Ynez. I'm at the Sunstone Winery as a guest of the Sunstone or the Santa Ynez Chamber of Commerce. So this is a mixer, a meet and greet. I've already booked another nonprofit to host and help raise money for, and it involves horses and wine. So I'm in heaven.
So were you holding a bottle of wine then? That is what you're hinting at is going to be a possible giveaway?
Yes, not possible. It's coming home with me. So I would like to say hello to all of the viewers and anyone who's joining in, that this could be yours. And I should have brought it with me, but it is actually 2 bottles of wine, 2 reds, and they're wonderful. And I don't know if you guys, have any of you been here to this part about, I've been to Solvang. Have you guys been to Solvang?
I've been to Solvang, and this is a public service announcement. Don't go to Solvang on Mondays, guys, because everything is closed. I went to Solvang on Monday.
Okay, that's a great tip. So Solvang, and then there's Buellton. Have you heard of Buellton?
Yes.
Okay, this is even smaller and more intimate and very it's beautiful. It's called Ballard, and it's in between Solvang and in between Buellton, I guess. It's basically Santa Ynez Valley. And I've met so many wonderful people. I was just speaking with Ramon, who is from Guadalajara, and he's been here since 1994. And he has 34 horses. And then his wife is a former triathlete, and they are hosting this wonderful event. And the bottom line is, it's just wonderful here, and I'm bringing you one. We're going to give it away to those followers. Is that a better way to put it?
That's awesome. That's awesome. We haven't figured out how we're going to give it out yet, guys, but when she comes back. But Alicia, what is this nonprofit for? You're always involved with like nonprofits. You're always out there helping the community. What is this cause for?
So technically, I'm here with the Chingona community. So it's a woman that we went to the same high school, but not together. And we kept missing each other. We know a lot of the same people. We network in a lot of the same circles. We've just never worked together. Once we met, we hit it off. And shout out to Roz from Chingona community. It's a legit 5013C. I'm going to be posting about it. So please, if you are interested at all, or even curious, I mean, real talk, my nana hates the name, but it's generational. They've taken that name and embraced it and made it their own. Same way like Hola Chola, like those kinds of that vibe of like, I'm gonna call myself that and I'm gonna embrace it. And it's a mindset. The Chingona community is a mindset of just being badass, networking and helping other women thrive. And she just gave out 4 scholarships. She belongs to this chamber. She invited me because, I mean, I'm trying to always bridge my 2 passions, which is community journalism and exploring, adventures. California, especially. I'm a homer, so. Someone did yell at me because I had my Dodger hat on earlier, and he's like, "How about them Padres?" as he drove away, which is rude. But that's okay. I think he was smiling when he said it. Yeah.
So you're fighting with Show Pods fans out over there in Santa Ynez? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know if I'm calling it fighting when someone yells at you from a passing car, but he was like smiling. It was friendly. It wasn't shots fired. It was more like goofy because I wanted to be like, "Yeah, how about them?" Like.
Hey, Princesa, did you notice if they had ranch water in the trunk of their car as they drove away?
Ay, dang it. San Diego and the ranch waters. Yeah, this is just a wonderful, I mean, really, I wish I could show you just how beautiful it is, but I can't manage the camera. I'm being rude right now. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
Look,
Good to see you.
How are you? Are you having fun? Are these gentlemen treating you well?
Of course, they're the best.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because
look,
if they're not, you
look, we appreciate you calling in. I don't want to take you away from. It sounds like you're having a really good time where you're at, but I can't wait until I send you the pictures of what has become a slideshow from your phone, because some of these pictures that I'm getting from you are hysterical. But I just want to, for all our listeners, our viewers that are on here, we don't talk about this enough on the show, and we need to do a better job of doing this. But Alicia is very involved in the community in Los Angeles, and she's always working on this kind of stuff with not only with scholarships, but with the youth. So, Alicia, I want to commend you on that. And so I want to thank you also for taking the time to call us from this party, because it sounds like you're having a really good time.
It's a good time for a good cause, and that is the best way I love to celebrate life. What can I do to help? And yet also, the best time, I mean, hopefully no one here sees what I'm about to say. The best time to get people to donate is when they've had a little wine, tequila, or because, it's all human. And even though the Chingona community was started by Latina in La Mirada, and a Chingona, a Chicana, it's inclusive. And these women here have totally responded, and now there's going to be good deeds done. And don't think that I'm not spreading the gospel of the Dodgers well in here, because that's what I do. So it's a win-win-win, right, baby days?
Right. All
Hey,
the time.
Alicia, before we let you go, I do just want to say this, that you were robbed for best costume at Fluffy's birthday party. I was told someone else won. For those of you who have not seen the pictures on our social media of La Princesa's original, this was an original costume that she came up with for her Lucha Libre costume, and her Lucha Libre name is La Traviesa Rosa. So I just want to let you know you were robbed in that costume contest.
Okay, first of all, thank you. That is very gracious of you for saying that. I love our group picture. It's getting a lot of love from my family and friends. Secondly, that name was given to me. I think you were near me when the gentleman that works the rings for Lucha Vagu, he gave me that name. I wanted to be something like La Dinamita, or I don't know, something like with a cat. There it is. Hey.
Well, let's ask our listeners. Do you guys like that name, that lucha name for Alicia? Do you guys like La Traviesa Rosa, or should she go back to what she originally wanted, which is La Dinamita?
or even something like I don't know, like something that, but I wanted to be kind of cat-like, but I couldn't find the mask in time to have the fur, and I should keep working on that costume. I want to evolve it because I feel like maybe I missed my calling. I really think I should have been a wrestler.
I'm starting to agree with you. I think you did miss your calling, and I would love to go to a wrestling event and be able to support you and cheer you on.
Fluffy also said, "Why didn't you join the costume contest?" And I wanted so badly to be like, "Why didn't you remember to tell me?" But we all know what, it was a good time. Wasn't everybody just feeling so great that night? The thing is, I ate more than I drank. I was eating anything you put in front of me. I didn't even drink. But we stayed up dancing. It was such a great event. Susie knows how to throw a party. And it was so great to hang out with you guys, too. Thank you, Babyface and Juan, for being my chaperones. And
And look, I didn't want to put her on blast, but she ain't lying. La princesa can throw down when it comes to food. She literally had a sampler plate. Like, we literally went to she had, and in her defense, I think she only asked for 2 tacos and the guy gave her 3. She then went and got tamales. She then, I don't know what else. Oh, she got a danger dog. They were selling perros peligrosos, and she got those too. She went to the pasta bar. The girl can throw down when it comes to food, so there was no judgment there.
Churros, ice cream, and Sally. No, Fluffy treated all of his guests. We never had to pull out a card, nor cash, no Apple Pay. He really took care of us, and didn't he have a good time? He had a great time, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, he did.
Very happy.
He did have a great time.
He had a great time.
Okay, Alicia, we're going to let you go because you're starting to break up, but I appreciate you calling in, and I know our listeners are looking forward to winning that bottle of wine that you're bringing from Santa Ynez.
Amy, do you like wine?
I don't drink it, but that just leaves more for you.
Well, offer to bring 5 cents.
Well, thank you for the thought. I appreciate it.
Do you like peaches? I'm literally staying at a peach farm.
Oh, bring them.
You'll have about 1 month left for peaches. I'm in God's country, and it's so freaking beautiful here. And shout out to our Chumash sisters and brothers. It's beautiful here. And so, I've already eaten 3 peaches in 1 day. So I will bring peaches for everybody. Peaches for everyone. You guys have a great time. Go Dodgers. Don't panic. They're going to figure it out. Julio's going to be fine. Friedman's going to figure out pitching. It's going to be okay. Don't panic.
All righty.
No pasa nada.
No pasa nada. Thank you, Alicia.
Bye.
Thanks, Alicia.
Bye.
We'll see you later.
Okay, a big thank you there to La Princesa de Picolandia. Now back to our regularly scheduled program where we were discussing Austin Barnes and your guys' irrational hatred of Austin Barnes. Like, I saw this all over social media where everybody was just like, and even Philip Lopez over here wants the guy DFA'd. All I'm going to say is this. I'm putting this out there, and I'm going to say it to La Reina over here. Does Austin Barnes play enough to actually factor in the decisions? The Dodgers aren't losing games because of Austin Barnes. Yeah, they're not winning games because of Austin Barnes, but they're not losing games. Julio, I know some people on online, I wanted to attribute the ERA issues to Austin Barnes. But of those games that I just talked about with Julio, those 4 games where he's given up 5 runs or more, guess what? Austin Barnes only caught 1 of those games. The other game was caught by Austin Wynns, and he's not on the team. The other 2 were caught by Will Smith. So Michael Carrillo coming in with the hard numbers here saying he's lost them 1.6 games according to WAR. I get it. I'm not gonna argue with you, Michael. I just feel the eye test when the Dodgers lose. I don't feel they're losing because of Austin Barnes. When the Dodgers are losing, it's either the bullpen has had a meltdown, the offense isn't hitting, and this is an offense. And I want to transition into this real quick. This is an offense that's very top heavy. You have Mookie, you have Federico, you have Will Smith. And this is what I want to talk about because I saw a lot of this online. Why is Max Muncy hitting in the cleanup spot? And I know this is a topic that La Reina wants to go at. Reina, go at it. Can you explain to me why Max Muncy is hitting in the 4 spot?
I mean, he's been hitting in the 4 spot for about 3 years now. I don't understand it. He's really great getting on base, not necessarily hitting. I don't know why, like, if you're asking me to make like my dream roster, we have him be the leadoff hitter. He can get on base. Let him be the leadoff. And then you need to stagger out. So you've got Smith who can always drive in runs. Maybe you shake that up a little bit. Maybe you have, Freddie still hit second. You have Will Smith hitting third. Then you put Mookie in the cleanup spot because those guys, if you're alternating there, you're actually getting people on base, you're moving them over, and you can still swing for the fences. So it's a little bit of both. It's like hybrid, small ball, swing for the fences. But right now, having him be cleanup, at that point, we're not necessarily moving the guys over. We're just getting another person on base. And then now that top-heavy part of the lineup, we've moved past it. So now we've got to rely on everybody else to get these runs in. So,
all right, let me fire back at you with a couple of things. One, Mookie seems to be very comfortable in the leadoff spot. And if you move Mookie anywhere out of the leadoff spot, it seems like it really affects Mookie. So having Muncy as a leadoff, I don't know. So I have 2 questions for you. One, who would you put in the cleanup spot? And 2, would you move Max Muncy down? Michael Carrillo had said switch him with Peralta. I was thinking even lower than that, Michael. I was thinking, could you hit Muncy 8 or 9 and try to treat him as a secondary leadoff guy? Because it seems what Max Muncy does well at this point, the guy still has over 20 home runs, is he walks. He walks a lot. So what would you think of those 2 things?
I would say in that respect, yeah. I always forget Mookie likes to be leadoff. So either move Muncy to the second slot, or I like what you said. Let's put him 9 because at that point he's still getting on base. It's like your pre-leadoff hitter once you've gone through the lineup once. Let him bat 9th. He's gonna get on base, and then let Mookie drive him in, or let Mookie get on base, and then let everybody else do that. I know Smith is strong in the 3 hole, but maybe we move him to cleanup because he is consistent. He is driving in runs. And then you can give some of those guys an alternate or a spot in the 3 hole. Peralta, Hayward, let them try out there.
Babyface, the Dodgers like to do this whole right-left thing. Is that a realistic explanation as to why you keep Muncy in the cleanup spot? Dave Roberts just recently, and it's funny because Roberts had the same tone with Syndergaard. It has gotten to the point in the season where Roberts is like, you have to produce. I can't give you any more leash. We heard those comments when people keep asking him about Muncy's place in the lineup. And it looks now like Dave Roberts is like, you know what? We have to start thinking about this. Like, this is not something that we can ignore. What do you do with this situation with Muncy in the lineup?
Well, one thing we've learned, we know that Dave Roberts is very, the guys that are his guys, he's very protective of those guys, right? And Max Muncy is one of those guys, right? So he's going to run him out there even if he's struggling because he knows he can turn it around, right? And we've seen this before. We saw this last year with Bellinger, right? He would continue to run Bellinger out there when he was struggling, right? So I think that's so Max Muncy has a way longer leash, right, than say like Noah Syndergaard has, right? So I think that's the reason too, because he's one of his guys and he knows that he could get it going at pretty much any time. We've seen those stretches where Max Muncy, like the second half of last season, right? Max Muncy got very hot, right, and he kind of held that through the end of the year. So I don't know if he's expecting something like that, but that's kind of because is he hitting under 200 now?
Yeah, he has been hitting under
right?
200
So
for a
that
while.
that is very alarming, right? But I mean, I think he just wants him to walk, get on, and get his hits, get his home runs, and I mean, and we've discussed this many times, like batting average for whatever reason, when guys are hitting like 200 or 205, 210, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. But I mean, to me, that's still very alarming, and it's like, at least get him up there where he's hitting like 220. You'll take that. But I think that's the reason we continue to see Max Muncy maybe in the fourth spot. But it does make sense. You know what? Maybe try him in different spots in that lineup and see if that will spark him. To start getting to be a little bit more productive as far as not just home run or bust. Kind of get some singles, get some doubles in there, and then go from there.
He's
David-
actually he's hitting 188. He's got 51 hits. He's got 50 walks. So he's like half and half. I mean, he's got 3 intentional walks if you want to add those in. But I mean, like, he's 50-50 for getting on base one way or another.
I mean, I know David wants a taco is he's still very bullish on Max Muncy, but that's my argument. And this is the thing that I've been saying is, and I want to use James Outman as an example. James Outman started off the season on fire, and then he went through that stretch where it looked like, boy, man, he I don't know, the pitchers look like they figured him out. What the hell happened to James Outman? James Outman forgot how to hit. And now James Outman is starting to show signs. He's breaking out of it, and you don't see him struggling as much. I think maybe this is the reason why the Dodgers have had such an up and down season is everyone outside of the main stars. I mean, Mookie, Federico, and Will Smith, those are the guys that have been consistent. Everyone else has been streaky. So maybe Max Muncy, like Julio, maybe they turn their seasons around. Please. And I don't think it's anybody on the live right now or anybody who listens to the show, because you guys are all intelligent baseball fans. But I really want to stop seeing the Nolan Arenado in a Dodgers uniform. Guys, that's not going to happen. If anything, I am curious if they do end up getting another infielder, which I don't think they will, is if they do end up moving maybe Max Muncy to second base. I'm just very curious how serious Roberts is with his comments about Muncy and how much more leash they're going to give Muncy. Because like La Reina said, he's down to 188. So it's not like he's going back and forth. He had that nice stretch at the beginning of the season, and he's been in decline since then. So maybe he can turn around his season, and it's going to be like, if he's good the last 2 months, that's what matters. I want to segue. The Dodgers are going into Texas this weekend, and they're facing a first place team in the Rangers. For me, this road trip was going to be very tough because they had those back-to-back series against the Orioles and now with the Rangers. I want to talk about the Rangers only because we're going to be visiting our old friend Corey Seager. And Corey Seager's having another great season. Corey Seager had a great season last year. Corey Seager has been an all-star both years that he's been with the Rangers. When the Dodgers decided not to re-sign Corey Seager, I saw a few, but not many fans broken up about losing Corey Seager. Reina, looking at it now and looking at our situation at shortstop, do you miss Corey Seager? Should the Dodgers have made more of an effort to sign him, or are you good?
I mean, I wanted us to keep him back then, honestly. So the fact that he's hitting 346 right now, like, he's having a great year. We need that bat in the lineup. We need that defense in the infield. Like, if there was a way for us to get him, I'd take him back like in a heartbeat.
Here's the one thing. I was never sold on his defense. I also think the dude is just too big, and I don't know how much longer he's gonna play shortstop. But yeah, the guy's an offensive, he's an offensive machine. Babyface, do you want Seager back just like you want Bellinger back?
Oh, I don't think I want Bellinger back either, but I mean, I mean, the thing with Seager is too, like, right when he left, right, they had Trey Turner. They knew Trey Turner was going to slide right into shortstop, and everything was going to be good, right? But you didn't know what was going to happen with Turner. But I think kind of with Trey Turner and Seager, I kind of felt like they didn't want to be in LA, right? Seager, it felt like he didn't want to be here either. I mean, yeah, he liked it, but I think he feels a lot better being in Texas. Even
Why do you say that though?
I don't know why it's the thing that guys want to be closer to their home, though they're not necessarily in their home, right? They're not necessarily like there's no team from North Carolina, right? So like, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours less on a flight. I don't know if that's what a lot of these guys make a priority, right? Like when they sign with the team, like, oh, their spring training is in Florida. I live out in Florida, so I get to be at home an extra month or two, whatever. I mean, those guys make that a priority, and being closer to home, being more in the central part of the U.S. or on the East Coast, these guys seem to like, right? That's what Trey Turner seemed like. He wanted to be on the East Coast, and same thing for Seager, right? So, I mean, I don't know, if it has, it has probably to do a lot with their wife like as well, right? Happy wife, happy life, right? So, they want to be on a certain side of the country, and that's kind of, I feel like Seager wanted to be somewhere else, and that's kind of why he walked.
Another interesting thing, a storyline for this weekend is to see how the Rangers do against the Dodgers. The Rangers are a first place team, but it's the thing we've always talked about. It's the Phantom Menace, the thing that we're worried about, and that Kershaw's eventually going to leave the Dodgers, and he would only leave them for one team. It would be the Texas Rangers. So if the Rangers have a good series against the Dodgers, the Rangers have a good remainder of the season. And let's say they don't make that much noise in the playoffs, but they're looking like maybe they're a couple pitchers away. Reina, am I looking into this way too much? But do you think Kershaw's paying attention at all to see what happens this weekend?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's already said it in some of the interviews that you read around. Like the only other place he would go is the Rangers. One of his high school friends is on the coaching staff. He'd be closer to his kids as they're growing up. Like that, he puts family first. So that would definitely be a factor. He'd be silly not to be paying attention, even though all of us want to see him retire a Dodger. We want to see him stay on the team for as long as we can keep him. That goes without saying. But he's got other priorities that are competing. So, it's a give and take there.
Look, Michael Carrillo, I'm like you, man. I want him to pass Don Sutton in terms of the wins with the Dodgers. I just feel like he's the best pitcher in the history of the Dodgers. Yes, I know I've never seen Sandy Koufax pitch live, but if you look at the numbers, Kershaw's numbers are better than Koufax. And I hope that Kershaw, I mean, look, the guy's 16 years. He reserves the right to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to go to Texas, then he goes ahead and does it. But for personal reasons, I want his name at the top of all the record books in pitching for the Dodgers, because for me, that's the name that deserves to be up there is Kershaw. He is the guy, and he's proven it this year. I mean, there were so many other pitchers that we were looking at that were supposed to take the mantle from him. And in this respect, I feel like he's a little bit like Kobe. And it's like, I'm not going to give it to you. If you want it, you got to take it from my dead cold hand, and Kershaw just came out there, and he's really surprised me this year. I really hope they're just being super conservative with him, and that this shoulder inflammation that he's dealing with is not something serious. Because I would love for this guy to help us make a run in the postseason. One of the other things, I don't know if you guys caught this recently, but Walker Buehler was on, what's the name of this podcast? Is it called This Is Baseball, Babyface?
Talking baseball or something, just baseball, I think maybe.
Just baseball. Just baseball. And he had said that in 2017, he was going to get traded to the Rangers of all teams for Yu Darvish. Luckily, the Rangers took a different package, and Buehler was not included in that. The Dodgers ended up making the World Series anyways that year. But Reina, even though Buehler's been injured twice, he's had 2 Tommy Johns, can you imagine if they would have traded Buehler for Darvish? And I'm only bringing this up because we are in now a little over a week away from the trade deadline. And I know La Reina does not like trading away prospects. Does this concern you? You always have the ghost of the Pedro Martinez trade. You always are like, all right, what are we giving up in order to win now? But what were your thoughts on that revelation that Buehler said he was going to be traded for Yu Darvish?
I mean, honestly, this is the first I'm hearing of it, just because I wasn't as much on Twitter and all the socials today. So just the fact that we wouldn't have had him all of this time, even injured, like he's still an asset to the team. Coming back, he's going to be a big part of the not the bullpen, but the starting lineup. So, God, to have lost him, that would have been horrible.
Babyface, would you have been okay with Buehler going for Darvish?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, you probably would have been like, that's pretty steep, right? And kind of, I mean, the thing with the Dodger trades is like they usually win those trades, right? Like I was hearing right now in the city of the Orioles, right? They were talking about the Dean Kremer that pitched on the last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Dodger organization, and he got traded for the Manny Machado, right? Manny Machado deal, and all the guys that were a part of that deal. None of those guys are part of the Orioles anymore, except for Dean Kremer. So it's like Dodgers have that history of like, you know what, we're going to give you these guys, and we'll see what happens. And most of those guys, Dodgers end up winning, right? So it would have been interesting, like if they would have traded Walker Buehler for Darvish, right? Because Darvish ends up walking away at the end of that season, right? And then Walker, you know, if he would have been on the Rangers, I mean, how would his path there have gone, right? You know, I mean, we know what Walker gave us in 18, right? And then, you know, so it would have been interesting to see that. I mean, I think you know, the Dodger fans, if you would have got traded and would have saw, oh man, we gave Walker Buehler, seeing like how he pitched in 18, right? And who we kind of became, I think it would have been something Dodger fans would have been like, dang, why did we have to give up Buehler for that trade, you know?
Michael Carrillo, that is, I don't know if it is mathematically correct, but I feel it. Friedman does win, it feels like, almost 85% of those trades. I don't think you can say, maybe Yordan Alvarez might be the biggest miss in terms of trading him for Josh Fields. I mean, the Josiah Gray, look, you got back Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, so you got to give up something in order to get something good. And you got guys that helped you get into the playoffs. But for the most part, I agree, Michael. The Friedman wins trades. So that's why this trade deadline coming up, I'm going to find is going to be very interesting, because I think there's a limited amount of teams that you're going to be dealing with, because all those teams are going to be going for those guys. All of a sudden, Lorenzen seems to be a real favorite to people, because I think he's gone like 17 innings now without giving up a run. So the price is going to be high. And are the Dodgers just better suited hanging on to these guys? Because, I mean, look at it. There's guys that got called up this year that I hadn't even heard of. And these guys are holding their own. And I think they're going to get better. They're going to get better with the exposure. Like, I'm very impressed by Sheehan. And you know, Bobby Miller, I'm impressed by him too. So look, we had an interview with Dalton Rushing that you guys go ahead and check out on our previous podcast. But even Dalton Rushing was talking glowingly about the Dodgers development staff, the way they develop players. And that's something that, you know, we talk about it, but maybe we don't talk about it enough. And it's just like the Dodgers, just like, they know how to coach people up. And so I hear this from a lot of people when they're talking about mind-numbing trades. Just go ahead and trade the prospects. The Dodgers will go ahead and find more, and then they just end up turning them into more prospects. So maybe this fear of like giving up a future Buehler in a trade, is something that we shouldn't have that fear, because the Dodgers will just find a way to replace them, right, Babyface?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now though we are at a point where we're kind of we are going to see some of these guys get traded away, right? Because, you know, we're talking to Don Rushing, right? He's a catcher, right?
Yeah.
And then ahead of him, who do you have? You have another top prospect in Diego Cartaya, right? So it's like you have these two catchers. Like, I mean, eventually, they're going to come up, right? I mean, I don't think any of those guys is really a backup, right? I mean, if they get rid of Austin Barnes, you might call up Diego Cartaya for a while. And I'm not even saying this season; it'd probably be like next season because Diego's only in Double A, so and he's struggling in Double A. He's hitting like 180. So
Yeah.
so
I think that's the dude that if they're going to trade him, I think it's going to be that dude because I don't know if they have faith behind him, faith in him behind the plate. He strikes me as a guy who's going to be a DH. I think he's a dude without a position. And I know Dalton Rushing had a ridiculous, he put up ridiculous numbers at Rancho and has come down to earth in Great Lakes. But I'm curious to see what that dude's development is going to be. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to talk about these make-believe trades that I see on there that the Dodgers are going to do this, the Dodgers are going to do that, because people are just blowing smoke up their ass. Like Bet Online, our sponsor, recently, about a week ago, and I think it's already changed, had said the Yankees were going to be the favorites to get Ohtani in a trade. Well, I don't know if anybody factored in that the Angelitos just swept the Yankees, and now the Angelitos are within striking distance of the wild card. So I just, I think it's better if Ohtani doesn't get traded for the Dodgers. So if anything, I think everyone should be rooting that the Angels don't trade Ohtani. The Dodgers trade away whatever prospects they need to trade. But you're right, Michael. You're not the first person that has said this on this show. Cody Snavely has said this many times on this show in the sense that they may need to just make trades just to clear up roster spots. The 40-man roster is getting very crowded. And that's why, again, I just point to these signings that we did. I know Nelson just had a rehab stint over there, but it seems like there's no urgency, no desire to call him up to the major league level. So why is he taking up a roster spot? So
I mean,
go ahead.
No, like you said, they're getting to these guys where it's getting really full, and like you said, guys that should be up, like Michael Busch, right? What's he doing in AAA, right? He's turning it up again, right?
And Miguel Vargas is tearing it up.
Miguel Vargas, he's gonna start playing good, and like, so they're gonna get to a point where, like, you know what, we got to move some of these guys because we can't have them in LA. They got to be fair to them as well, right? And get them somewhere where they can play. So you're gonna see. I don't know if it'll be now, but maybe a Cartaya or a Rushing gets moved, right? Because that catcher position is starting to get a logjam, especially with Will Smith. What do you expect to do with Will Smith? Is he your long-term catcher? Is he going to get the big payday with the Dodgers, or are they going to let him walk and then let one of these younger guys come in a couple of years? So those are all questions to be answered.
Absolutely. Before we end the show, it is our time for picks, and I just want to recap that last week. Babyface and I had gone, we both picked them to go 3-3, so we lost. However, David wants a taco. I know you were on the live. I don't know if you're still on, David. David sent me a message, and in his words, you guys went 3-3. I'm going to go 4-2. So David wants a taco. You are correct, and you have gotten a point for our listeners, and our listeners have now taken the lead. So it is now the listeners are in first place. Babyface and I trail in second, and then La Princesa de Picolandia follows. So we're going to cover the next 6 games. So that's going to be 3 games against the Rangers of Texas, and then we're going to cover the 3 games as the Azulejos from Toronto come into LA. Reina, ladies first. You're on the ladies line.
Are we doing it by series, or are we doing it by
Just
the
overall.
entire?
Just overall.
I'm gonna go 4-2. We'll win 4. I'm gonna be optimistic here. Win 4, drop 2.
All right. So you guys on the live, start putting in your picks. Like I said, 6 games. It's overall. What are you guys expecting the Dodgers record to be? The series in Texas worries me. Michael Carrillo coming in hot with a 5-1. So This is hard. This worries me because is Michael Grove going to have 2 consecutive outings, good outings? David wants a taco. I agree with you. You convinced me. David wants a taco. Comes in with 3-3. I'm going to go 3-3. Babyface.
And because David wants a taco and you said 3-3, I'm gonna go 4-2. I'm not gonna let you twist my arm this time around. I think the Dodgers will do just fine in Texas, and they'll come out of this 4-2.
Come to the optimistic side. We have cookies.
So there you have it. I want to thank you guys. I know it's been a while since we've had a live. I really appreciate you guys coming on here. I love the interaction with you guys. I've said this before. You guys are the most knowledgeable fan base, and I love that you guys choose to listen to our show because I know you guys have other options. I know you guys could listen to other Dodger shows, but I really appreciate that you guys come on and participate with us on these live shows. Please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Spread the word. Like I said, we had 2 other episodes we dropped this week. We just dropped an episode with Dalton Rushing, which I really enjoyed talking to that kid. I think he has a really good head on his shoulders. I hope he continues to develop, just not only because if he can help the Dodgers or at this point, in the future, whether he can help with the trade. Simeon, I haven't forgotten, but you beat me to it. I want to wish Simeon a happy birthday before we sign off. Simeon's birthday is on Tuesday. So a very happy early birthday to Simeon, who's always been a great supporter of the show. He always helps promote the show. So a big thank you to Simeon. And just overall, a lot of love. I don't know if we're going to do a live next week. I'm just letting you guys know. Even though the Dodgers have an off day, we may be at Kershaw's Challenge next Thursday, the ping pong tournament that he puts on. So unless we get uninvited to that, then we may have a live show. But other than that, we'll be talking to hopefully Dodger players, asking them the stupid questions that we always ask. Or if you guys have any questions you want us to ask the players, let us know and we'll do that. Yo ha sido su servidor Juan Ramírez de parte de mis colegas, la reina de Playa Larga, Amy Cuevas, and Babyface. Nos vemos para la próxima. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by betonline.ag, where the game starts. Nos vemos.